Hi everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of our podcast series.
Hello, welcome.
This was supposed to go out yesterday, onto the Saturday, and unfortunately due to issues we had, it's coming out today on the Sunday.
Like, oh no, it's not coming out. It's still coming out.
Yeah, so don't panic.
Give up.
Don't jump off the buildings just yet. Oh.
Alrighty, so first up we have releases and announcements. So, Alien Isolation, given a date of October 7th?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Yes, October 7th.
So another game in the Alien series. Yeah.
It's not being developed by Gearbox, I believe.
Who fucked up,
Who did Colonial
Marines, yeah.
Which is terrible. And so
You know
hopefully...
Sorry, I was going to say, you really like Gearbox, right? But they've made quite a few blunders.
Yeah, no. Gearbox, I like the Borderlands series. Gearbox, they've done goofed a little bit over the past few months with like the longevity, one of the two. Borderlands 2 especially. Like they declined to release an SDK for the game. The Headhunter packs were interesting content, but not quite what the fan base was looking for. And honestly, they haven't really looked to their fans a lot. I mean, their patches have been rather retarded, apart from one, which was the Vermivorous patch, which we made a video on, but couldn't do it right.
Yeah.
Long story short, it's hard to get Vermivorous to spawn. Unless you're lucky, because RNGesus.
Hey, what were we talking? We keep podcasts, right? Yeah.
Gearbox. Yeah.
We will be talking about them later in the show as well, actually.
Yeah. Well, should we move on to that now? I mean,
should we run for releases first, then we can.
All right, we'll run up releases. Other releases for this week include Goat Simulator entered beta on the 28th.
Released on the 1st.
If you don't know what that game is, it is the only game you need this year.
Go to the year 2014.
Go to the year 2014. If you don't know about it, go get it. If you don't have it, go get it. If you've got it, go play it.
So we can say.
Believe in the one true Goat Lord. It's coming out like. If you haven't pre-ordered, it's coming out on April 1st.
You can still get it anyway. So.
Yeah, well, those who
pre-order
will be allowed. It's not really a beta; it's more just an early access than anything else.
Will they increase the price though when it's fully released? That's what I'm wondering.
No.
So it'll still be £6, whatever. $10.
Yeah, $10, £6. Which is fair enough. And then the final release. Quite fairly exciting if you're a fan of the Bioshock series, is the Burial at Sea Part 2 DLC. It was released where you play as Elizabeth and you have access to 1998 mode.
Yeah, Bioshock. Oh yeah, one thing about the game, they're going to make it a more stealth focused.
Yeah, 1998 mode is you go through the campaign without killing anyone, I believe.
And well, stealth, in my opinion, was definitely not Bioshock's strength because the combat was so great. Combining all the plasmids and shit. Vigor, sorry. But in this mode, I believe they've added a new vigor which makes you invisible, so that helps with all the stealth.
Oh, they have they?
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite cool. Didn't know that. But yeah, no, I think that would definitely help because I don't quite know how you'd win boss fights without.
Just if you stare at them long enough, maybe they'll go away.
They apologise and back down. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't want to kill them. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I played Bioshock Infinite. I was like, good game. Kind of left it at that. Wasn't really that interested in the DLC.
I don't think it's.
I probably won't play it.
Important. To be honest.
I mean, I think it's nice how the developers have decided to loop it all off, kind of tie the original Bioshock and
Rapture with
Yeah,
What's the new place called? I can't remember. Columbia.
Columbia, that's the one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, I have drawn nothing but salt this game.
I think that's GG.
Yeah.
Marie.
So yeah, well that's it for releases. So yeah, let's come back to that Gearbox thing. Because as many of you probably know, Gearbox acquired the rights to the Duke Nukem IP, with which they released Duke Nukem Forever, which is widely regarded as a terrible game and an insult to
The franchise.
yeah. But more recently, the people who initially bought the IP and then later sold it to Gearbox, 3D Realms, they've been releasing their own, I think, PC and maybe even mobile games with the Duke Nukem IP, despite the fact they don't technically own it.
Yeah.
So Gearbox filed a lawsuit against them, saying that they didn't own the IP, they'd sold it to them, and that this property was illegal. And since then, 3D Realms have claimed that Gearbox doesn't technically own the IP because they haven't adhered to certain terms of the contract. Or something like that.
It's very complicated, and I'm sure neither of us really understand it, but it's just 3D Realms bitching about Gearbox, basically.
It's... yeah.
I think it probably has something to do with the game, Duke Nukem Forever. Just the fact that it came out so
well,
early.
I think part of it is 3D Realms have seen that Gearbox has been kind of weak with the IP, so they're trying to claim it back, maybe, but they don't really have the legitimate means to do so. Because, I mean, I don't think Gearbox would be a company that would do something like...
illegally acquire or something.
Yeah, I mean, they have a history of acquiring IPs, so I don't really understand why they would mess up this acquisition. I don't think they would do that, especially if they're trying to develop it into a major IP for their company. So
More secrets.
I think 3D Realms are in the wrong here. And honestly, their games have been even poorer quality.
But you never know. I mean, the Gearbox guy could have maybe snuck into their office, just literally stole it out from...
Super stealth operation.
Yeah. Used their stealth figure, whatever.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting to talk about. Well, there was more controversy in terms of acquisitions and things being bought in the news that you've probably heard about. That Facebook has acquired the developers of Oculus Rift.
Yeah, they had a massive auction type thing, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they were bought up by Facebook, the developer team. And since then, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO, has issued a statement of intent about how they intend to use Oculus for the dreaded phrase of social gaming and sharing.
That is
Kind
not
of
what gamers
thing
want.
that makes most people facepalm because clearly Zuckerberg has no bloody idea what he's talking about. No one wants to share their bloody high scores. It's not mobile gaming, for God's sake.
It's not the bloody 1930s where people would put their Pac-Man scores in. No one cares.
Yeah. Really? I'm gonna attack myself? What the? That's dumb.
Stop hitting yourself.
Oh, that reminds me of what was it? Pacific Rim. Man, that film was awesome. Love that film.
Oh yeah, never got around to seeing it.
Good film, you should watch it. Provided you can take it for just action.
Okay.
Don't bother with the plot.
Yeah.
But
Facebook acquiring Oculus Rift. Yeah.
Not a fan. I mean, Notch has made his position pretty clear in that Minecraft are no longer going to be doing something for the Rift, which is initially what the plan had been, because they're very interested in the whole virtual reality type thing. And honestly, I quite frankly agree. I mean, Facebook hasn't really had any successful ventures with either hardware, like the failed Facebook phone,
Oh yeah.
or
Or gaming in general, yeah.
Yeah, just haven't really managed to deliver in that sense.
Yeah, I think people are just sick of Facebook and
Yeah,
they're sick of virtual reality
there
too.
is a bit of that, to be honest. Oh, really?
Get sniped. Gotta love the secret stick.
Yeah. So, yeah, not a bit disappointed with that whole development. I'd have hoped that if someone was going to buy it, it would someone with at least some experience in the right industry, and not try and like manipulate it into like their own kind of
evil plot
thing.
to take over the world.
Well, I guess it's Sony's big chance to try and step up where they may have done goofed.
Steal Notch for themselves. Well, no, they're probably not going to make. What do you think they'll do with their what's it called? Virtual reality thing. Do you think they'll just make it for PlayStation, or they'll make it?
Oh yeah, no, I reckon they'll be, and they do their own TVs, don't they? So, I think it'll.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
It'll be related to that, most likely. Yeah. Other news. Well, talking about PlayStation 4. Infamous Second Son did a little bit of a Titanfall in the fact that PS4 sales, well, in the UK, over doubled with the release of Infamous Second Son.
So yeah, it was like a Titanfall thing, which I didn't think would happen. I think, if you remember from
Yeah, no, I agreed. I didn't think, because it was more of a single player, less like, well, like, I saw Infamous as a good game, definitely a good game, but I didn't see it as having the same kind of longevity.
It didn't have the same hype as.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a multiplayer aspect to it. Well, unlike Titanfall, which was, it's in many ways seen as like the successor to Quake or Call of Duty or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the next step in the FPS genre. But maybe it's just the fact that the PlayStation didn't have any titles, and with this title, people were actually willing to finally take the step to buying it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking as well. People kind of just, I think they wanted it, but they couldn't. They didn't have an excuse, and I think Infamous was the excuse they wanted. Yeah,
no, I could definitely see that. I mean, when Destiny is released, whenever that finally comes into play, I think next gen will definitely see that final spike into what we might expect from a generation of consoles.
Yeah, definitely. When is Destiny coming out?
I believe it's third or fourth quarter of 2014, but I could be wrong. I know the beta is supposed to be happening over the summer. And I would assume that if that's anything like the Titanfall beta, that's like a month or so before the game's released.
It's probably going to be a huge delay, like every single big game that's been announced this year.
Well, I don't know, it's only coming out for next-gen consoles, so they shouldn't have port issues.
I guess, yeah.
Which I thought was a shame it's not coming to PC. I mean, their excuses for it was rather poor, as we probably mentioned before. But not much we can do about that. Yeah. On to other news in terms of releases and Assassin's Creed. Obviously, last week we mentioned that there'd been screenshots released for Assassin's Creed 5 Unity, which is going to be set in revolutionary Paris, in France.
We failed to mention that bit.
But it's been confirmed by Ubisoft in a couple of days after those screenshots were leaked. It did seem to be an inside leak, I think, judging by the fact that they were screenshots rather than anything else. Which is rather annoying for Ubisoft, I can imagine. I mean, I think they were planning to announce it at PAX East, but their hands kind of been forced.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, though, it is some publicity, which is always good. No such thing as negative publicity.
That's true. That's very true.
So maybe actually, benefit the game. In some way.
But also, interestingly, Unity is a next-gen release.
Yeah, so PS3 and Xbox 360 are getting a different version of Assassin's Creed, I believe.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah, this title, it hasn't been officially announced, of course, but I think it would make sense in the fact that
I think people
it would allow Unity to be unhindered by current gen specs. They could do more with
are
a
just
title that's just for next gen.
Lightning Storm. Yeah, I think people are kind of sick that the next gen consoles, a lot of the titles were just held back by the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
Yeah, but in terms of that, you can say the same about the disparity between PC and console like specs.
And yeah, they play these same games, don't they? Games ported over, so it's
Yeah,
not going to be drastically better just by being on next gen.
but I mean, in terms of like game resolution, it certainly will be. I mean, it's definitely a step up. But you compare like Infamous to like last gen, I don't know, whatever, and you can definitely tell the difference. But I mean,
Like, thinking about it though, the amount of money and effort it takes, to get two development teams to make two completely different games.
well, Ubisoft is big enough to manage that as a developer, so I think it's certainly reasonable.
You know what that tells me? Sorry, you know what that tells me? That there's not enough people buying on not enough people buying next gen consoles, and they still think the market for Xbox and PS3 is huge.
I think that's a very obvious statement because many, many, many people own current gen consoles. That's definitely still a market. People aren't just going to straight away upgrade to the next gen simply because it's been released. It's going to take It's going to take at least a year for next gen consoles to get to the kind of levels where they can really carry a developer.
Yeah, but a lot of people are putting all their eggs in the next gen basket. So the fact that they are still heavily making it its own game for current gen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's Ubisoft had gone about it the right way in making two different titles, because then they don't hinder the sales on one by releasing it on current gen as well.
Maybe it is just a way to get double the paycheck as 2D games.
Well, yeah, but I mean, provided they're decent quality, I don't really mind.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? Like, if they skimp on the quality, then
yeah, but I don't think they will. I mean, Ubisoft have a good track record. Can't really think of a game they've skimped on that's been majorly criticized. I mean, honestly, they've released some of my favorite franchises. I can knock them, but I don't really have any reason to.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm glad they haven't gone down the EA route with their Uplay.
Yeah.
Because all their games are still done technically through Steam.
Oh, God. Don't get me started on EA.
So, yeah.
There's, I can't remember what game it is that's out on Steam. I think a couple of EA games are out on Steam. And you can't even play them without having a Origin account. Even though it's on Steam. It's ridiculous.
An interesting thing that I saw also was, Games for Windows Live.
Yeah.
And how that's kind of going away with Origin being the new thing now. Apparently some games are now becoming inaccessible, like Bulletstorm that was on Games for Windows Live. That's now becoming inaccessible because it was on that platform. It's disappeared from Steam and stuff. And I really like that game. That was a really good game. And I think that this kind of move is a bit dumb. I don't really know why it's been done this way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a bit disappointing and all that. But hey. What else? Yeah, a couple other items on the agenda. We have Arkham Knight pictures released.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell, that game looks like it's going to be...
The ones that I was telling you before where Charlie Sheen is the Riddler.
You filled me with that one. Yeah, it's not actually Charlie Sheen.
You were so excited.
It just looks a little bit like it.
Can you imagine, just the player Riddler? I was going to say Hitler there, that's not a Batman character.
Oh, God. What are you talking about now?
Going into realms of Hitler now. You can tell it's
but
late.
Yeah, no, the screenshots looks absolutely amazing for Arkham Knight. I'm definitely hyped for that game.
But once again, and a lot of people did slate Arkham Origins, didn't they?
It's not the same developer as Origins. It's the same developer as City and Asylum.
Oh, I did not know that.
So That's definitely good news. Definitely good news.
Mm.
Yeah. You were wanting to talk about Forza 3.
Oh yeah. As I'm sure a lot of people have heard, when that game first came out for Xbox One, or gained a lot of publicity because it was one of the only release games, and
Oh
well,
yeah.
people were slating the microtransaction system in the game.
The rather ridiculous microtransaction system.
Well, basically, you could just buy. I believe you could just buy like any car in the game you wanted.
But like the most expensive car cost more than the game itself.
And people who actually like didn't want to pay the extra money, you actually had to pay £50 as well.
Yeah, it was really hard to earn cars through.
Yeah, it was like some people had played like 200 hours to unlock this one car, and just someone else would just buy it, and it just wouldn't feel like a good achievement because.
Yeah, it was a broken economy.
Well, they released an update recently, which they said has kind of fixed it. They just made it slightly better. It's definitely not a fix to it, but
yeah.
One of the stupid things which they fixed was whenever you got a new car, like bought a new car at the shop, you would then have to buy a slot in your garage to fit it. So it was ridiculous. Like you had to.
So you had to buy a slot and a car.
Yeah. So if you had a car, you couldn't even use it unless you bought a slot.
That's I guess a little bit something like World of Tanks. If anyone's ever played that, where you only have a set number of slots and you have to unlock it if you want to have more than a set number of tanks.
But now they've
But on the scale of it's frankly a bit ridiculous considering it's a premium game that you're already paying however much money for.
Yeah, so now they've just made it so that when you buy a game, you can just use it immediately. You don't have to buy the extra garage slot. And another thing they changed.
But it's odd. It's really late in I say it's late in the lifetime. But I mean, release was months ago, and they're only doing this now.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It's not going to get people to buy Forza, is it?
It's just going to annoy the people that did buy the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know if they're doing refunds for people who've bought the garage slots, but who knows?
I don't know.
They also, in the game Forza, you had a free play mode or something where I think you just get to drive around, whatever. It's not proper. And you could use any car you had bought, in it.
Yeah.
But now what they've done is they've made it so that you can use. It was basically like test driving. But now they've done it so that you can
drive
use
any car.
Yeah, now you can, but before you could test drive any car that you owned, which was stupid. Yeah, but all 200 cars on the disc are now available. You have to.
That's good news. And you were saying something about the new DLC, or
I may have been wrong on that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, never mind about that then.
Yeah, just ignore that.
Well, yeah. Is there anything we've missed?
I think that just about wraps it up for the
news this week.
News of the world is the week. Yeah. So yeah, if we've missed anything, be sure to tell us in the comments.
We apologise for earlier this week. Monday, Tuesday, there were no releases because of business. But
I was away, so
yeah, we couldn't really record, but back on schedule. Everything should be coming out this week.
Well, next week.
Well, it's this week now.
Is it? I thought Monday was the start of the week. Since when is Sunday?
Sunday's the start of the week.
Is it?
My eyes.
Oh, whatever.
But yeah.
Agree to disagree.
See you in the next video.
Yep. Bye.